Freddie Elkins. I am a retired coal miner. Have worked a total of 31 years underground in the coal mine. And I'm from a coal mining family. I was raised in Pound, Virginia, a little town about 45 minutes from here. My daddy was a coal miner, two older brothers coal miners, and after I graduated from Powell High School in 1960, I had made up my mind to be a coal miner. So I had a friend getting out of the Navy, and he was looking for someone to go out west with him. So I thought it might be a good opportunity for me to get away from the coal fields, really, because it's pretty rough back in the day. So we loaded up the 59 Ford. We drove 3,300 miles in several days from Pound to Myrtle Point, Oregon. We was looking for work out there in the lumber industry, plywood, Georgia Pacific, or whoever was hired. We got out there, that's May 1961. So they was on vacation, they wasn't hired. So we wound up getting a job on a big ranch, dairy farm and cattle ranch. And this guy, we was in the laundry there, putting clothes in the laundry, and he came in and said, "You guys looking for work?" We said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I got about 3 weeks work for you if you want to take that. We'd get a little bit lower money," so we told him, "Yeah, we'd like to have it." He said, "I got a 5-room house," and he volunteered his wife to do the cooking and the laundry and all that, you know. And we told him that sounded good. Excuse me. He said, we said, "We'll take it." And he said, "Well, follow me." He said, "It's a little ways out of town." And he was driving a 57 International pickup way back to Mountain Logging Road. We got back there, he showed us the property and where we would be staying and all that kind of thing. And so we went to work for him, and we put up the silos with grain and all that kind of thing for the cattle. And he said he first did just 3 weeks work, but he just kept finding something to do. You like this and everything, found out we was honest, everything like that. So we was milling fences, changing cattle from one pasture to another and all that kind of thing. But I stayed about 3.5 months, and I got homesick for these years here. So I told those guys, I said, "Take me to Roseburg, Oregon." I said, "I'll get on a big Greyhound and head back east, come back home." So I got on a big Greyhound and headed back this way. Of course, I got on one bus, but I rode many buses from Roseburg back to Wise County. Came back, nothing but coal mining going on, so I stayed around home about 3 weeks, found out my parents, everything was okay, and so I went and joined the military, joined the Army in September 1961. So I went down to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, took basic training, then I went on to station in Aberdeen, Proving Ground, Maryland, taking fuel, electrical repair school and all that kind of thing. And after that, I got stationed at a permanent post there in Aberdeen called 94th Ordnance Direct Support Strike Outfit. We had to be prepared to go anywhere in the world at short notice. So when the Cuban crisis broke out in October of 1962, our company got on orders to go to Cuba. So we had to form 3 major convoys. We left Aberdeen, came down to Fort Lee, Virginia, stayed all night, and on into Fort Bragg, North Carolina, another night, on to Fort Gordon, Georgia. Went out in the field and prepping for Cuba. Stayed out in the field, lived out there and trained out there for 8 weeks. And then while we were doing that, John F. Kennedy was president of the United States at that time. So we got Castro and Khrushchev to move those missiles out of Cuba. So we didn't have to go. To make a long story short, we left Fort Gordon, came back to Aberdeen, Maryland. And then we didn't have no mission at Aberdeen in the wintertime while we just trained on the post. But during the summer, 1962 summer, well, 1963 summer, really, we went to King Pickett, Virginia, Blackstone, Virginia, and we sported the National Guard and Reserves there. And then that fall, I got on orders to go to Korea. So came back home here, took my leave, went to Bristol, flew out to San Francisco, California, and got off the plane, and I got on the bus and flew across the Golden Gate Bridge. They got on the bus and rode across it. Then I went on into Oakland, and they processed me there to get on a big ship to head towards Korea. So I loaded up on a big troop carrier and went by Alcatraz Prison, which was active then off the coast of San Francisco. and we could see it, but they were talking to us on the PA system, and went on into Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. That was in the fall of 1963. And then we left there and went on into Yokohama, Japan. Then went on into, we left Yokohama and went on into Incheon, Korea. So the whole tour, actually, by the time we left Oakland, when we got back, was 13 months. Got back in October the 21st, 1964. And my ETS was up, so I got my release papers there in Oakland, which they gave you a 214. They didn't give you a discharge at that time. They put you in the inactive reserve. So I took my 214 papers, came back home here to Wise County, came back to Bristol, flew back to Bristol, and then hitchhiked on back to town. And stayed around just a little while, and I still hadn't made up my mind to be a coal miner, even though my daddy was coal miners. He worked over in Eastern Kentucky for Consolidation Coal, and my brothers was working the smaller mines at that time, two older brothers. So I decided to go to Northern Virginia. So I went up north to Alexander, Virginia, working in Alexander and Fairfax County in general. And then met up with my wife there. She was from Wise County, I'd known her. And my buddy, in the meantime, while I was in the Army, well, he'd married her sister. So we got together, played look games and all that kind of thing, and wound up dating, my wife and I, and we got married in Annapolis, Maryland, March 31st, 1965. And then tell everybody, her daddy was a coal miner. He worked for Cinchfield Coal, Moss No. 2 mine. You might have heard that before over there, Moss No. 2. And he told me, he said, if you want to come back, he said, I can get you a job with Cinchfield Coal Company. And I'd already been traveling around a whole lot in my lifetime, so I said, yeah, I'm not ready to come back. And she wanted to come back home too. I always tell everybody I married a coal miner's daughter, but it wasn't Loretta Lynn, but she could have played the part. She's a country girl. Now get me a little bit of water. My folks all, I may have a little bit here. Got the algae or something here in the throat.
I'm gonna go get you some fresh.
Nah, this will be all right, I think. And we came back to Wise, settled in the labor section of Wise, and working for Cinchfield Coal for about 6 months. And then my brothers, I was on the Allen shift with Cinchfield, Moss No. 2 mine. I learned how to run equipment there, so Westmoreland Coal Company, they were the largest coal company down here, well, they started a new mine in Wentz Mine up in Stony, Virginia. And it actually started up in 1964, the mine operation, but they had to go through a fault to get to the main seam of coal within the Taggart seam. And they had to go through a fault, and they got on full target mining coal there with continuous miners in July of 1967. So I came from Frenchville to Westmoreland, July 31st, 1967, working for the equipment operator. I did that about 5 years, and then I said, well, I'm going to stay in the mine, and I seen these foremen making a little bit more money than we regular workers were, so I went to foreman school, got my foreman paper to be a foreman. So they gave me a job as a foreman in charge of a coal producing crew. And I did that a little while, and everything was going pretty good in the early 70s, so I kind of moved up the ladder, and they promoted me to a shift supervisor at Wentz No. 2 mine. And I worked that for a couple of years, and then everything was going good. They moved me up to general mine foreman, in charge of the big mine at Wentz No. 1, where we had 6 continuous miners working in there. And they put me in charge of the mine safety and production. And I did that for them for about right at 20 years, really. And I stayed with them until they started downsizing, and well, they started downsizing really in 1985, and then 1992, they started really cutting back, laying everybody off, and eventually they shut down in July 31st, 1995. And they moved out of here, and they had their general offices right downtown across from the visitor center here. That was their general office here in Big Stone Gal. The Westmoreland's main office was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they shut down and went to Colorado Springs, Colorado. Doing surface mining out there now. They're still out there, but they shut everything down here. Then a big loading facility had in Appalachia where they had the transloader. And they had the Appalachia area at one time where they had about 12 mines, underground mines within a 11-mile radius of Appalachia. and everything was booming good. But now the early days, the early mining began in the Appalachian area around 1880. I'm talking about 1880. There wasn't no railroads here then. It's on the name of Tesla Coal and Iron Company, on the direction of John M. Bowden and the Tishman brothers. They called it Tesla Coal and Iron Company in 1880. But they just mined about 1 year on that name due to inadequate financial backing, lack of rail transportation, the distance to potential market, while it doomed the little coal company. And in the meantime, some of the coal had been taken, taking some of the coal back to Pennsylvania. And the Westmoreland Coal Company, which was formed July 7th, 1854 in Mock Chunk, Pennsylvania. So they had mine operations. They started mining there around 1850s in that area there, in the Collinsville area, and also the Pottsville area. They had the anthracite mines, but they had the bituminous coal fields like we have here in the Collinsville area. And also they made coke there. But by licensing County found out the coal that was been taken from Wise County to Pennsylvania there. Some of the leading chemists that sampled it found to be some of the best coking coal in the United States, better than what they had in Pennsylvania. So that was, licensing County was very interested in coming here and seeing that they did have the good coal here and a good boundary of it, because they could see where it was erosion had washed it off the mountain. They could measure the coal seam. There was 23 different coal seams here. So John Ring and 5 of his board of directors came here to Wise County, and they bought up thousands of acres of coal rights, mineral rights, coal and gas rights also. And they brought the lawyers in and the surveyors and all that. They bought the mineral rights for as little as 35 cents an acre, thousands of acres. Kind of robbed the old settlers really. They got to keep their house seat, but they lost all their rights to claim any royalty off the coal when they did start mining. But they purchased all this coal up, and they established what they call Virginia Coal and Iron Company. January of 1882, January the 6th, they established what they call Virginia Coal and Iron Company. And they established all the land over that name. But the Virginia properties remained dormant throughout the 1880s, so they went back to Pennsylvania and they continued to mine their coal reserve, focusing attention on mining their coal reserves there. And then about 1890, they were forced out in the bituminous coal field there in the Collinsville area. Operator by the name of Henry Clay Frick, who was a big general manager for Andrew Carnegie, still operation. So we undersold them there, but they got to keep their anthracite mines, the hard coal in the anthracite coal fields there in Pottsville area. But that was a good opportunity for them to come back here then in 1890 and start developing the land here in Virginia, start the mine operations here. And the railroads arrived here. They knew the railroad was make this way from Clinchport, Virginia, on over here to Big Stone in Appalachia area. Another name of Virginia Southwestern. Well, no, the first railroad I believe came here was Ohio. I'm trying to think of what they call it. Anyway, the first railroad arrived in Big Stone here around 1891. Then it went on into Appalachia. The railroad did. South Atlantic, Ohio was the name of the first railroad. South Atlantic, Ohio.
Gotcha.
And eventually would be Virginia Southwestern and on down the road, Southern Railroad. Okay. And then they also had a railroad that came out of Kentucky, down out of the Louisville area up here called Louisville and Nashville, came into Lee County, down the left side of Powell River, crossed over here at Fifth Street Bridge, and went on into Appalachia, formed a terminal there of the L&E in Louisville, Nashville, and then you had that terminal in Appalachia, then it went on into North, the L&N Railroad. And also the N&W was making its way out of the Bluefield in the north, the N&W Railroad.
Yeah.
So they had 3 major rail lines here when they came here then to mine coal. And they started mining coal and shipped it out by rail. And the first mining done was on the headwaters of Callahan Creek, Leslie. That was the first mine they had. And then they established mining operation for the records in Stony, Virginia. And They called it Pioneer because that was the first coal mine in this area at that time. They called it Pioneer. And they established a railroad line from Appalachia to Pioneer, they called it that time. And they changed the name over to Stony, Virginia in 1896. It was about 7 miles north of Appalachia. And that was a big mining camp. And they built they come in and started the mine portals up. They built the coal tippers where they separated rock and the coal, and they prepared it for the customers. And the different sizes of coal, they had the block coal, the pea coal, the flat coal, mine run, all the different sizes of coal, big coal, and all different types of it. And they got to moving real well after the railroad drives here. And they operated on the name of the first company established was the Virginian Coal and Iron, and they did that till 1902. The production wasn't as good as originally projected, so they formed what they call Stony Coke and Coal Company on April 19th, 1902. They did that and used that for the underground operations named Stony Coke and Coal Company. They kept the name Virginia Coal and Iron until 1964. Then they formed what they call Penn Virginia Company, the land company, in April of 1964. And then also they formed, they already had the Westmoreland Coal Company name, but they didn't operate on that name. They operated on the name Stony Coal. And then Westmoreland, they was the parent company. They merged in with Stony Company. They call it Westmoreland Coal. Stony division Westmoreland Coal Company, Virginia operation. They operated on that name until 1995, and then they closed everything up here, the mining operations, and they still kept the name Penn Virginia Coal Company. And they kept the name Virginia Coal and Iron in 1967, and they formed Penn Virginia. And they still own the mineral rights and gas rights here now, part of it.
Okay.
They left here, shut everything down, cut a lot of people off. At one time here, they had as many as 2,000 people, union men working the mines. And then they had the company operate out of the general office right here across from the Wilkins Center, Visitor Center here.
Okay.
But that really put a hurting on those small towns like Appalachia, you know. A lot of people had to leave, you know, and go other places. Some of the miners were able to retire, and then some of them had to go to work for smaller companies. And then also some of the younger people, they went to work for they got 3 prisons. We got 2 in Wise County here. They got the Wallow Ridge here in Big Stone Gap. And they got the Red Onion prison in Pam, between Pam and Clintwood over there. A lot of them went to work with that. And also we have a federal prison down here in Lee County.
Right.
A federal prison down there. A lot of them went to the security guard, prison work like that. And some of them went into truck and cross country too, jobs, you know, and some of them went into logging and different things, you know. But Appalachia kind of hurt them real bad, and Pound, the little community over there, the 4-lane kind of shut them out. Of course, Big Stone Gal's been able to kind of keep operating and grow pretty well on account of college. They got a 4-year school up here, grade school. And then also, you know, you got the school in Wise there, University of Virginia Wise.
Okay.
That kind of helped keep Wise and Norton and all going pretty good.
Okay.
In Appalachia, there's not a whole lot there anymore. Of course, you still have residents living in a lot of the old mining camps that they bought off the company. Back when they was working the mines, when they started to, you know, they used to, company owned the home, and they cut it out of their pay and all that to pay for them. They also bought the home, they just cut a small sum out of their pay. They bought them, and they still have mining camps in Derby, Rhoda, Stone Aggie, Arnold, and all the places are still active on the individual citizens now. At one time, all the camps, you know, they were very busy. And the company, when they come in, they started the mine portals, built the pimples, like I say. And also, they had the company store, and they even had bands in the mining camps and everything else to entertain the miners. And they had all those company houses. They even had entertainment for the miners, ball fields, ball teams for the mining camps and all that. And everything was very active. And they started downsizing the company stores in the 1950s. They started downsizing those. They used to have in all the mining camps. We had doctors in the mining camp, and they had a hospital in Stone Acre, Virginia. one of the earliest hospitals in the state of Virginia. Really, there wasn't nothing much even west of Roanoke. Stoney Coca-Cola got a hospital at Stoney, they called it the Stoney Hospital, which was chartered in 1902.
Mm-hmm.
And it stayed active until it was about 1977. They shut the hospital down up there in Stoney, Virginia.
Okay.
In that area. But after Westmoreland, they were still alive after Westmoreland, because they were still some independent operators like Cumberland Resources, Richard Gill's Wines, and all the other independent operators that continued to mine coal here. Pretty active, about 20 years of mining.
Mm-hmm.
And then during Obama era, when he started cutting back on coal fields and everything, it really shut a lot of them down. There's not much mining going on here now.
Right.
In Lyon County, there may be a couple of active underground mines and maybe a couple of surface mines. But in Dixon County, Russell County, there are some active mines over there on the independent coal company and Alpha Natural Resources.
Right.
All the mines over in that area there, they got some pretty big mines over there around, I think between Kohler and Clintwood, got a big mine over there. And also Buchanan County, I think they got a large mine over there now. But at one time here, everything was booming, the company owned it all.
Mm-hmm.
They owned it all, they owned the mines, they owned the company stores, the houses, everything belonged to the company. And then all that's changed too. Mining was pretty rough back in the old days, when they had to go in and blast the coal out, load it with a shovel, and they got paid for how much coal, how many tons they loaded. They had a special type of money they called script money. They paid the miners with it, back then. And each company town had a special type of money, like it was Stoney or Rhodey or Derby, whatever it was. Actually, the last mining camp was built here in this area of Appalachia area was Derby, Virginia. It goes to Derby now, and they got that name because as a group of the Lysamine family was coming here to, it's a new mine starting up in 1923. They didn't have a name for it, so they said, what are we going to call this camp? Because they already had Arno, Derby, Stoney, Osaki, all those names, and Dunbar, that kind of thing. So they formed, they said, well, what do you call it Derby? It's on the way to Kentucky Derby. So they named it Derby, that's his guy's name, Derby, Virginia. It still goes with that, got the zip code Derby, Virginia now. And all these other company towns was, I think I can name most of them. There was Arno, Osaki, Rhoda, Dunbar, all of those was all company towns. All of them. And they had some in Lee County too at that time. We had Keokee Consolidated, which Virginia Coal and Iron bought out.
Mm-hmm.
After they formed Stoney Coca-Cola in 1910, they bought out what they called Keokee Consolidated, which included Keokee and Embo, Virginia. And also they had mines in Exeter, Virginia, too, back then.
Okay.
All company towns.
Okay.
All the company towns, they had the different seams of coal. The Emboden was in the Emboden seam, which ran up a 7 foot to 12 or 14 foot thickness.
Mm-hmm.
They had a good quality coal. What I primarily worked was the Taggart seam of coal, which is very good quality, what we call metallurgical coal. It's a low sulfur, low ash coal. And it's very shiny, and every bit of it will burn up just like ashes from a cigarette. Every bit of it, you didn't have the old clinkers in it like you did some of the coal that had sulfur and rock in the coal.
Right.
And they was able to do very well with Wentz mine. Like I said, it actually portaled in '64 on the name of Wentz, and then they built a portal in 1967 called Wentz #1 Mine. And that's where they put the big continuous miners like we got outside called 32 Leonor's oscillating head miners in it.
Right.
And they started that up, and they used those up, and then they went to Joy miners there at Wentz, and then some of the other miners they started up, they used the 265 hard head miner where the whole head would work on them. But this particular machine out here had an oscillating 2 heads on it, oscillating back and forth, and cut the coal out.
Okay.
That life really changed for the company then. And actually they built a big prep plant for Wentz. They got on the operation in August of 1967, these unit trains out. They were bringing in, I think it was the first time we loaded up there was about 58 to 60 cars of coal at a time. And they went on to be bigger than that, and then they put the bullet plant in over here in Appalachia. The mine started up in 1969. They put the bullet portal in, they called Bullet Mine. It was in you went down on a 13-degree slope like the Carmel mine was for Clinchfield. Had a rope hanger you hold onto and walk down to the track. And they took this line down by a hoist down to the rail and they hauled it back to the section in the Bullet Mine.
Okay.
And they built that big load facility there, General Coal Company. That was the one that was responsible for the contract of the moving of coal out for Westmoreland Coal. Of course, it was actually Westmoreland. They called it General Coal. They put in a transloader, built the silos. We had raw coal silos, and they prep it out there at the plant. And then when the trains would come in, usually about 120, 100-ton cars. At one time here, as many as 12 trains a day going out in this area, out in the Appalachia area, really moving coal out. You couldn't go anywhere without being held up by the train here in the Appalachia area. Not so much here in Big Stone Gap, about the only place they could bypass the Southern came in and went down the right side of Powell River on into Appalachia. The L&N came down the left side and crossed over and went on into Appalachia and Norton. And they made a connector also, I didn't tell you this, but the L&N made a connector with the N and W there in Norton.
Right.
So they made a connector with them, of course. They also made the connection with over Scott County and Miller's Yard over there with the Fitchville Railroad. So they're real big it's $1 billion made in the coal fields right here in Southwest Virginia. At one time, they had big visions that Big Stone Gap would become the size of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or bigger, because we had iron ore here in Big Stone Gap. They mined up here in the southern section of Big Stone Gap.
Hence the name Pittsburgh of the South.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they thought. They had big dreams, But it didn't, the money and the coal was here and the iron ore and all that, but the iron ore was so expensive to mine. They had to give up on it because they had abundant coal fields with very good quality coal. They went on to proceed with the coal instead of the iron ore. And it was very expensive to mine, and then steel companies could buy the iron ore cheaper than what they can mine it here, really. What they mined it to.
Right.
They mined the iron ore for about 7 years here. Pretty successful, but it got so expensive. They just kind of gave up on it, and because they couldn't mine it for as cheap as these other companies could,
Right.
So they focused on mining the good quality coal,
Okay.
good coking coal, burning coal, and they still coal here to mine. But I guess you could say that the Westmoreland Coal Company, they got the cream of the crop,
Oh yeah.
and they left here. Laid everybody out, including myself. I worked with Westmoreland a little over 25 years. And then after Westmoreland, I went to work for Richard Gill, Common Resources.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to work for them in a mine that my buddy was going to open up, or was going to run it for Richard Gill. He'd worked for me at Wentz Mine. And the mine, it blew up. If you right remember when this happened, the mine blew up December the 7th, 1992, had a mine explosion in what they call South of Mountain Mine. It didn't belong to Gillum, but it was an independent operator, and the mine blew up. I think there was 8 people lost their lives in that mine. And also, when Gillum took the lease over from Penn, Virginia, he went in there, we started to mine up. I went to work with Tom Phipps. He was going to be superintendent. He wanted me to kind of work for him. And we were going to reestablish that mine. So we went back and reestablished the mine.
Okay.
We called it Big Laurel Mine.
Okay.
And we operated that mine very safely. We started up, got on coal. We started rehabilitating in May of '93, and we got on coal in June '93. It was the highest productive and safest mine compared to Meador. There was one other mine with the Mullins Coal Company in this area here, operated by Junior Mull. So we was compared to 2 small Meador mines in the state, and it was very productive. It was in the M-Bone same road, about a 7-foot seam of coal, and we really pulled the coal out. They shipped it over to VIC at a little facility there in Thompson at that time.
So what can you tell me about a lot of the artifacts and equipment that y'all have here and everything?
Okay, we have quite a bit of the artifacts here. You see the old dinner buckets here, minor dinner bucket. We have the what they call safety lamp here, which the miner nicknamed it. This is a flame safety lamp. You use this to check for methane gas and oxygen deficiency in the mines. It would burn an apple fuel. You had to have a magnet to get into it, open it up, and to clean it out. And I don't even have a magnet open. This is a light that I used in the mines. Of course, I had another Meador methane monitor where I could check for methane and oxygen deficiency. The last work that I did. I worked from February 1967 and then February 1998 in the mines, which made me a total of 31 years in the mines. But you can check for methane gas with this lantern. You could raise it up within 12 inches of the roof. It kept a little golden flame in the bottom of it burning here. If you burn an apple fuel, you had a striker here. I got the wickle still striped, but I don't have any fuel left. And that's like this little fuse in the bottom of it here, a little wick in the bottom, and you keep it adjusted down low. And you raise it up within 12 inches of the roof. And if that flame increased to blue flame, like on a gas stove or camping stove, well, you know you was getting a concentration of methane gas. You could take methane gas down to 1% with this lamp here. And you can go right on up. Now, the explosive range of methane gas is 5 to 15%. That's the explosive range of methane gas. And you could take that, but once you take the methane gas, what you needed to do, or should do, was immediately increase your ventilation to keep the methane gas out of the mines. Okay? And also, you use this to check for oxygen efficiency. If you went in old works, or if you want to go on the return side of an active section, you could put it on the floor and see if it's still burning. It'd take at least 16% oxygen to support this lamp to keep it burning. If it went out and you couldn't light it, you knew you had low oxygen. If you went in old works, you held it out in front of it here. Back in the old days, well, they used the canaries, in the mine. Way back in the day, canaries.
1800s.
You've heard the story on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, about the canaries. But that there, I guess these little lamps here, and this is a little small one over here. That's a little baby wolf lamp, we call it. This is a Kohler lamp here. That's a little baby wolf there. They use it in the mine to check for methane gas and oxygen efficiency in the mine.
Okay.
Okay. This is some of the coal I was telling you about here is in the Taggart seam, which is some of the best coal in the country. Low moisture, low ash, low sulfur, and this is the way it came out of the mines. Just like that. It's not, don't have any varnish on it or anything. You'll not see any rock or sulfur. And it's light, and every bit of it will burn up. In the high BTU, you don't have the old black city smoke comes from this.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of white smoke, and it burns clean.
Okay.
It's what they're mining now. This is a good quality. It's called clean coal. See how light it is?
Mm-hmm.
Don't have any varnish. I've been here 19 years. I never put water or any kind of wax or anything on that. I've dusted it off quite a few times, just dust it off. That's about it. That's the way it came out of the mine. It's like that. Very good quality. And that's what they're mining now, and we still have quite a bit of that here in this area. It's metallurgical coal. This is some of the coke here. They had coke ovens here. The last ovens were built in 1958 in Pine Branch, Virginia. And they operated up until 1970. They had a battery of 180 coke ovens. The last ones they had here in this area, then they shut them down. And they used this coke to ship it out to steel mills and to melt the iron ore with. That's the last coke was made here in Pine Branch, Virginia.
Okay.
And the oven shut down in 1970, operated really from 1958 till 1970 in this area. Because the last ovens, now in the early days, they had coke ovens in all the mining camps in the early days. They built the coke oven, and how they make this coal, they call it cooking the coal in the oven. It regulated the oxygen. They cook it for about, I believe it was about 48 hours at low oxygen, just like we had a fire in this old stove over here. It's according to how much air you get and how hot it would get. They would burn that, say, about 3,600 degrees at low oxygen. And when they got ready to, it's like a recipe, they would shut the oxygen off, let the fire go out. And when they weighed it down and cooled it off and then pulled it out, they didn't have new ovens, they would pull it out with a coke puller. In the old days, they had usually black workers, African Americans, they had them raking the coke out and taking wheelbars and loading their cars.
Okay.
But in modern days, they had the modern equipment to pull the coke out and load it in car to sell, ship it out to
Okay.
steel mills. This is early lights they had in the mines. So this is one of them, but the real early lights they used back in when I tell you about when the mine started up on them intentional coal and iron company. They used these oil lamps in the mine, open flame in the mine. Had a wick in them here and they had oil in them. Lamp oil, kerosene. I used to call it lamp oil, but it was just a fuel oil. Coal oil, really. Then they went to carbide light like this here. I always use a battery light myself, but now I've hunted with these here. This burn carbide, which carbide, I got a can of it sitting here, none in it, but that's a carbide can here. And the miners will carry an extra carbide in this flask here called a carbide flask.
Okay.
Extra carbide where they can refuel that lamp there. It would last probably about this here, if you turn the water up on it, probably I've hunted with them, I've lasted 3 or 4 hours with this light here, the carbide light. They could refuel it, they had new water in it. But the principle of it, when it works here, you put the carbide in the bottom section of it, get a rubber gasket here on the bottom to make sure it was on there where it wouldn't leak no. When it was done, you put water on the top, and you could adjust this little lever here, and let the water go through this tube into the carbide, and it was transforming that carbide into acetylene gas.
Okay.
Acetylene gas, that's what it was doing. And it was transferred up to this wick here. You had a striker, like I said, to close out, of course, the water reservoir. And you had a striker here. I don't have it won't flint now, but you had a wick here.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd light that there. With the old miners or also hunters, you could hold your hand over that just for a few seconds. It generated enough acetylene you could ignite that. And they'd use that for a light in the mine. I'm glad I didn't have to work in the mines with it, because I'm sure with all that blasting and everything, they'd go out and you got to relight them and all that kind of thing. So, but I use primarily a battery light like this down here. This is a good picture here. My personal picture that my family bought me up in West Virginia. Shows a lot of equipment that the miners use in the mines. There's this bucket. There's a light, battery light. There's just a regular hat. There's a mining belt with ID tag on the belt. There's a self-rescuer. There's a safety lamp, carbide, cold check. That's a good picture right there.
Yeah, it is.
I found that in West Virginia. I went up there to my brother-in-law's funeral, and it was in the motel there where we was staying. And I said, boy, I'd like to have that picture. I'd been down here a few years, and my family, my sister-in-law and wife and son was with me, and they didn't say that. We just walked on out. That was in November, and then Christmas. When it come Christmas time, they brought that out. They went and got it and bought it for me, and gave it to me for Christmas. But it's got everything the old miners used there: cold checks, the tags, the carbide can, carbide light, old turtle shell hat, miner's round dinner bucket, the miner's journal, United Mine Workers Journal. Now the union came here. Here's one of these battery held instruments where you can check for methane gas with you. That replaced some of these old possum lamps, a miner call them safety flame safety lamp. What's the proper name of that lamp? That's his. He looked like he's got his little testament there where he's been reading it before he goes underground. There's his ID tag, like in the army they give us, or military they give you dog tags to wear, and the miners that was required to wear an ID tag on their belt.
They usually had your social security number on them.
Yeah, you
didn't
had your social security number on them. Now they don't do that, I'm sure, but you had your social security number on them.
Right.
And that was to identify you in case you was in a mine disaster. What trio was on there. Of course, I was very fortunate. I was never involved in a mine disaster, but I did go back and help reestablish that mine, the old South Mountain mine up there. And it was a very productive mine. I worked it 2.5 years. And then I left it, went to Black Mountain Coal. Worked there about 2.5 years up there. After I left Gillum. I worked for Gillum in 1995. Let's see, 1993 to 1995. Then I went to Black Mountain and worked till 98. Up at Black Mountain when I mine up there. This is an old hat I wore to mine's 31 years I worked. That was my personal hat. I had another hat I wore about a year. Then I got this hat. Of course, everybody collected those stickers, and also the reason I put these stickers on it was to illuminate the hat. because the other equipment operators and miners, they could see you better with the reflective tape on it, you know. That was my name. Ilka first broke it off, but and this is a joy of big mining equipment. The company buy a lot of continuous miner stickers. Westmoreland's coal stickers here. You see part of it there.
Joy is still based out of Duffield, right?
Yeah, they still down in Duffield doing some rebuilding of the mining machines. I see them on the road every now and then. I've seen 2 continuous miners recently. But in by is out. What that means, you don't go in by the last row of permanent roof support in the mine. After you take the coal out, we had these stickers. Roof of ours was a big cause of a lot of fatalities back in the day, and also in modern mining several years ago. They come out with put in roof control inspectors. They come around and more. When they went in, they primarily focused on the roof control.
Okay.
Then you had also you had ventilation inspectors, all types of different inspectors besides the regular inspectors.
Gotcha.
In the mine. Okay. This is a big risk here. If you had to carry that, you keep this within 25 feet of it. If it was in a case, like on this belt over here, that's some of the things here that you use in that suit. You had to carry that thing with you if you work for yourself, but now if you're working on a piece of equipment, you could take it off and put it on your equipment, or you could keep it within 25 feet of you. Now they got them stored throughout the mines, and at one time they had to carry them in the mines, van trips and all. And then they got them where they stored them on the rides in and out, and they took better care of them and everything. You had an inspection code here. If it was blue, it was good, but if it was pink or white, well, it was bad. You didn't take them in the mine. You look at those, make sure you had to carry that thing with you. But it was in a pack like this. This don't have a guard on it here. This is the early type of one of them here. Some of the early came back out of these around 1940 or somewhere in there. They used these. You had a little loop on your belt. You carried that with you. This was good for 30 minutes. This one here was good for 1 hour to get you, say, it wouldn't help you in a mine explosion that you couldn't survive if you was right in the immediate area, but it would help you if you had smoke migrating in on the second. You could own these masks and get in intake escapeway and come to the outside. Every mine has got to have at least 2 passageways where you can exit the mine in case you had to. One of them's called the main intake escapeway, which is a primary escapeway. Then you gotta have a secondary escapeway. Plus you got common entries, neutral entries, where you travel in and out of the belt to get out of the mine.
Gotcha.
But you got the intake and return always separated by permanent controls. Control your ventilation on most of our system. Westmoreland had most of their mines were exhaust system. You had a left side of the main entries coming in, and you had an intake usually on the right side. The exhaust fan would pull the air in and blow it in, and it takes it out to back out the exhaust side. The exhaust side, really, called the exhaust system.
Okay.
I like that system better, actually, than a blowing system. Seems like you could ventilate better. I have worked a little bit on a blowing system with the smaller companies, but I like the exhaust system better.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times on that system going in, you know, you'd lose some of your air. You know, if it was on the blowing system, it will come back down your travel ways a lot of times, the neutral common entry. But you use that blowing system, everything is pulling in by, you know, towards the place area. On that, you've got better results out of controlling ventilation in the working place.
Okay.
And you had to keep at least 9,000 feet of air if you wasn't classified. All mines have got some gas in them, but the key to it is keeping the ventilation up in the mine. Of course, I worked the old South of Mountain Mine we call Big Laurel, and we had very good air in it. We had 40,000 feet a minute going through the last open break, and we mined it very safe and high production mine. For 2.5 years, really helped Gillum really produce a lot of coal at that mine.
Okay.
We were mining as many as 128 tractor and trailer trucks a day under highly inspected mines, because it had a history of a bad reputation to start with. But then they found out we could mine coal with the ventilation and everything. They didn't bother us too much, you know. They ate us up to start with, trying to, you know, see if we could mine that mine safely, which we did, you know. But we had to ventilate, you know.
Right.
And we did, and took care of it. Let's see here what else. This is called nothing but a respirator filter respirator like we use in a body shop, maybe similar to this, or asbestos work, but this is the one we use in mine. This is a Dust Flow 77. And the reason we wear these is to protect us from the cold float dust, breathing the coal dust. It had a filter in here. You put it, something similar to these masks we wear now. It was a foreign filter went in this part here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would always keep an extra filter or two and always clean this thing up real good and keep it clean. And I wore it. You done it like this, and I wore it every time I went in the mine to come out. When I was running equipment, after I got to be a general mine foreman, I even carried it when I was making my airways examinations for safe travel, for water, or bad roof, or whatever in the return airways. That's where you get all your respirable dust coming back to the fan. So I'd wear this thing, and it helped. I don't have a history of the black lung disease.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they tell me I've been examined for it, they say, well, you got some black lung. But when I take the breathing test, I'm a non-smoker. I passed that, so they disqualify me for the black lung. So anyway, that's the way it goes. But I found out my smoking buddies, more power to them, but they were able to get it more than we non-smokers could, I guess you could say. A combination of nicotine and the cold float dust, black lung dust. But let's see here. This is how one of these rescuers, some are similar to that and over there. It looks like it was broken down here. This is a self-contained breathing, in case you encountered smoke. You had the plugs in here. First thing you would do is this strap. You didn't worry about putting it on though. You take these out first, insert that in your mouth and breathe in it, and that activates this thing here and it generates some oxygen. You blow in this here, and this was good for 1 hour to get you in a safe environment in the mine. It's called a self-contained breathing apparatus you carry with you, similar to what the firefighters use. That was a nose clip here. You put that in your mouth, you put that on your nose, then you worry about putting the strap on that you got all that done.
Gotcha.
You encounter smoke, okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, let's see here. Let's show them a picture of that right there. This is underground mine there. But, this was the old South of Mountain mines. I took this guy in the mine. That was me here with this hat on. You see my ID tag on the belt. This was a 1994. And we call that Big Law Mine. That's a 7-foot ceiling little overcoat. I took this guy in the mines here. He was my daughter's boyfriend at that time, so he wanted to go in on the idle day, so I just took him in on a tour. And that showed you some other pictures. And this is one of Westmoreland's mines down here, which was a Holton mine here. And I took this guy here, was a brother who lives out in, he worked for Boy in state of Washington. He wasn't going to mine, so I took him in a Holton mine, looking around a little bit. And that's the Holton main line mine there, Holton mine.
Okay.
At the big mine there, was in the Tigers thing. Had the long wall system and everything. Okay, let's see here what else. This was the early loading machine here. Called a loader. They call them a loader, with the Joy loader here. That's the one you had to drill the coal and blast it out and shoot it. And they had to load it in a car. They'd haul it down to the loading point, bring it out by rail haulage. In the early days, when they started putting the belt lines in the mines back in the 1950s, Westmoreland started using belts to bring the coal out. Similar to this up here. That's a belt line that brings the coal out of the mine. Usually that's a mother belt. After they got the lawnmower system, you had a 5-foot mother belt. Then you had branch lines going off. It'd be maybe 42-inch or 36-inch belt dumping on the mother belt. And Wentz mine. Let's see, let's show them a picture of that Wentz mine. It's got the port of 1967, here it is. Like I was telling you, this went on target of full production in July of 1967. That's when they built this portal here. That's when I started to work here in July 31st, 1967 as a shuttle car operator. Then I left there and went to number 2 mine as a foreman. 1972, worked here till 78. I came back out to Wentz number 1 as general mine foreman.
Okay.
This is me here. We're having a safety meeting here. That was me, general mine foreman there that morning for the crew, and then we was giving them knives for safety awards. And we were giving them donuts, sweetening them up a little bit and everything before they were in the mines.
Okay.
So we got, I'm very proud of my safety record, I never had a reportable injury in the mines, and under my work delegation, I never lost a man for the fatality in the mine. And I was foreman for most of the time I worked in mine, except about 5 years.
Okay.
Under my work delegation, naturally I couldn't be there, but this mine here, I'm responsible for safety and production. It was about 15 years at that Wentz mine.
Okay.
And we never lost a man for the fatality under my work delegation. Prior to that, I know, let's see, 1, 2, 3 underground fatalities they had at that mine.
Okay.
That's prior to that. You know, I wasn't general mine foreman there at that time.
Okay.
And then all these other work we did for these other companies, none fatalities. So that's the thing I was most proud of. Okay, let's show you this old dinner bucket here. You might be nothing but else. Daddy's dinner bucket. You might have heard the song that Ralph Stanley 2's got out. It says Daddy's dinner bucket.
Oh yeah.
If you've heard that, well, this is the one he's singing about here. He didn't write the song, but a couple guys recorded. He recorded. He done pretty well with it. If you ever listen to Bluegrass, they'll play this song. It says Daddy's dinner bucket. So this is the one he's singing about. Not this particular bucket, but this style. Of course, this is the lid here. In here, they call this a pie pan. It had got that name. The early moms used to fry the apple pies or whatever kind of pie they made, butterscotch or whatever, put in here. The miners nicknamed it the pie pan. Something similar to Army mess kit on you had 2 pieces of this. Now this is something my daughter might have put in my bucket because she don't know how to make those good pies. That's a honey bun and all that. It had got the name of the fried pies. Look in here, look at. In here, this is old timey bucket here for lunch. They carry the Vienna sausage. Of course, they didn't have this type of pop-top opener. They had these little openers with a key on top of them, little ring around them. You go around that track to open that up. That was a potted meat. I mean, not potted meat, I'm sorry, Vienna sausage. This here, what I'd call pork and beans, they call it Benny Weenies here. Of course, it got the pop-top on it. Of course, it had a little opener on top of it too, with a little key like this. You've probably seen some of these around. I think corned beef, some of them still got them. You got an opener on the side of them here. And then you'd hook it in that little track. You take the paper off, and it had that little clip there. You hook it on that track and open your can like that with this little opener like this. That little ring on a key there where you open these metal cans with. Of course, they some of it carry the potted meat, crackers, and all that kind of thing. Also, I got some of these store-bought, what we call nabs around this part of the country, you know. But I'd have my wife, I'd have her to buy me the good grade peanut butter, Peter Pan, or Jif, and the good Ritz crackers, and make them. I'd take extra, and if I wasn't going to be a roving foreman, I didn't take my bucket with me. She'd put them in the sandwich bag, and I'd carry them in my coveralls when I was making my rounds. I mean, I leave my bucket outside.
Right.
I carried one of these a while, but not too long. I went to a regular plastic bucket, long bucket, where you can carry milk or whatever you want to, with coffee or whatever in the mine. In the bottom, you put water. Ice. Back in the old days when they got the refrigerators, they put ice in the bottom and water. And you just drink out of the bucket like this. You didn't have no dip or anything, you just drink out of the bucket. Now they got the bottled water. They don't have these large bottles. When I worked, we had one about maybe 8 ounces of water, small bottles in cases. They got it stored throughout the mine. But anyway, what I found out was good in the mines was you could carry, one night I went in from work, I'd already bathed at the bathhouse, wore street clothes in my area while you put the work clothes on, came back out and bathed and went home, you know. And I live in Wise, and there's one of these like we had here a couple of weeks ago. But Wise said, "You go out to go back out." She was cleaning my bucket there. I said, "Why's that?" She said, "Well, you don't have any bread for your lunch." She said, "You got to go back out to the store." So I didn't go out. It kind of blew snow and Wise just pretty slick up there in the winter. So I said, "Well, I don't want to go back out." I said, "You got this cornbread. You got a little skillet about this big around in diameter, cornbread. Now they're eating part of it." I said, "Well, take that cornbread, break it up, put it in one of those Peter Pan jars or dip or whatever, and let me tighten the lid up and put the milk in it." And I said, "I'll take that and plus my little Debbie cakes or Reese's cup or whatever, you know." I said, "I don't want to have to go back out." So you put your cornbread and milk in a container and carry it in water. And that stick with you, you know. And
Oh, yeah.
They will blow in sandwiches and stuff like that in the mine. So that's a minor dinner back here. Next time you hear that song, you say, "Well, I see one of them." In the mine. So you got any other questions that I might answer for you, or?
Well, I just want to mainly look around now. Look.
Right here is where that real. Can you reach that over there, Don? I'll let him kind of give a little bit of idea how heavy that is. Plus, you got to do your work while all this stuff here. Well, no wonder we all bend over. That's a lot of weight there. That's that big rescue.
So every bit of, what, 50 pounds right there at least?
Yeah, at least. Yeah. Well, you boots, safety toe boots, that little hammer you 40s. I've seen a lot of them work in the coal mines, how they look like this guy here.
Mm-hmm.
That came out of the mine. Looks like he's had a rough day, crawling around loading coal with a shovel.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. And this is before they put the belts in the mine, they call this rail hauling. The shuttle cars that come down and end up in these cars like this. Then they had rail locomotives they call trim motors. They'd have a string of cars, they'd bring out 30, 40 cars, and then they had a loading port in the mines there where they could be loading while the main line went out with they had a winch where they could pull the cars up and take two shuttle cars, usually load one of these 10-ton cars.
Okay.
And they'd gather motor would gather these up while the main line tram, which I have a little example up here. A guy made this little train up here, but of course they'd have a string of cars, and it'd be mine run. That's pretty well stoker coal up there. But that's bringing out a big rail load of coal before they start putting a belt in the mine.
Okay.
It's called a mainline tram haulage,
Mm-hmm.
or rail haulage.
Okay.
Out of mine. Let's see here. This is a big machine underground here. Of course, that was made here really about August of 94, 95 at Holton Mine. We got the safety dust on the wall. That's a big continuous mine. They're going through a ventilation curtain there in Holton Mine, one of Westmoreland mines. This is a ride you ride in and out. This is a big belt drive underground. This is where you call it retreat mining, and you have falls. You want it to fall intentionally, you're pulling pillars. They call retreat mining.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it's fell in here. This guy here I took in, and I let him go up here, and we looked at this. It's already filled in back here, had it timbered off. And look at that where the rock he caved in. They took the coal out.
Gotcha.
Okay. Let's see what else here. This is, we'll show them this one too. This is back in the day before they really got strict with the mine safety and health. The safety laws came out in Federal Coal Mine Health Safety Act came out in 1969, which really made an improvement in safety of the coal mine.
Mm-hmm.
You had to keep them coal dust out, the safety dust on, the ventilation up. But this is where using wood posts and what they call cross collars to support your roof with. You can see, if you'll notice, this piece of rock here, this broke this cross collar when it went all the way across this place. It's broken, and this rock just fell on this guy here, lying there with a rock on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the extent of that was, but it had to be a very serious injury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was, now we use, well, I don't know exactly right now, but last work I did was using primarily roof bolts like this here, like a rebar. We use in concrete work with that big plate, 16-inch plate on the bottom of it there, and use epoxy resin to drill the holes up, that bolt there, and I put this looks like about a 4 or 5 foot pin there, and you drill the hole with the roof bolter, and use epoxy resin. And it's called in the tubes, electric tube. Then you push the bolt up in there and let that roof drill operator, he's got a hydraulic deal to use to spin that up and hold pressure against it for about until it's 15 seconds. And it'll set up very quick. And you install those every 4 feet in the roof to hold the roof up.
Now, does this operate any? See where it's hooked up there, or is it?
No, it doesn't operate now. I didn't had a battery on it, and the little kids started throwing with it. I afraid they was going to get burned with it, so I took the battery away. But the guy made that, used to work at Party was in it. The family wouldn't know if I wanted that little, I filled the coal cars up myself. He made that little small little crown motor there. And he made that. You could say early, not early, but sometime after 1880, somewhere in that area, they had the mules and the ponies in the mine, and they go and bring the coal out up that way
Yeah.
in the old days. That's where they mechanized the mines, had the hand loaders in the mines, load the coal. New mine here, not so much order. I had somebody here yesterday, but big machines we use what we call continuous miner, a little bit larger than the one outside there. This is the rock here, and your coal seams here down to the floor. This big solid head on it called a hard head machine. This is a 1,000-volt Joey continuous miner. They loaded a shuttle car, that's the same way they loaded it underground. This is a ride, you ride in the mine, it's called man trips, which will haul up to say, maybe usually, these are probably about 10 people. You have one section going right, and then your main line going that way. And then that big mine there, Wentz, we had 6 sections in there. 6 sections. We worked about 95 people on a day shift, and about 80 on the second shift, and about 70 something on the midnight shift. This is that big machine before they took it to mine, they put a new cutter head on it there. That's a cable there that supplies power to the electric machine. This is a roof bowler here, putting up roof bolts after the coal's been taken out. This is starting underground. Cut the coal, come through the conveyor into the car here. And then they haul it down. Of course, they're storing this outside, but it comes down and dump it on the belt like that into a feeder, and the feeder meters the coal out on the belt.
Gotcha.
This is using a smaller roof bill than what they use now. They got an ATRS on a new system, which got a big jack. And the ATRS water goes up against the roof and holds the roof up till they get the roof bolts in the top. This here they're using safety jacks. Normally most roof control plants says you must have 8 of those roof jacks in there to hold the roof up till you get the roof bolts in. But after they got that ATRS system, T-bar drill, that big jack, you had that big bar across the top, it'd hold it up till you got much safer. Remote control, you could let that bar down and if you put a roll bolts in, you can move it up.
Okay.
Made it much safer. That's early mining, initial mining of that place. Load the coal here, going down the rock. The engineers come in, survey it off, put up here a site point. We dig the coal, load it in that car, and then haul it down to dumping point. Usually you have to haul, we have used 3 of these electric cars. They were DC, now I guess they may be using probably battery haulers or maybe some diesel haulers.
Okay.
I just showed you a girl on fire there. This machine here could load a 10-ton car of coal where you want to cut no rock less than a minute, maybe probably around 20 seconds.
Okay.
You know, could load it. This is a loading facility here. Over in Appalachia, really, where they had the transloader, where they load their train. That's the silos where you store the coal in, like they do the grain silos on the farm in Russell County and different places. You know. They stored the coal. These silos hold 14,000 tons of coal.
Okay.
They'd already had it prepared when the trains come in. All they had to do was load it out, remote control. Now this guy here, they've taken the coal out. He's come in here to set up a survey station. He only has 2 jacks. If I'd have been around that property, especially as general foreman, he would have done it with 2 jacks because the law says, and the company plan would say you have to have at least 8 jacks. That's where he put his sport in there. He's taking the chainsaw, he said, well, I'm right here on this day outside. Sometimes that's where the danger is, you know. He's got 2 little jacks sitting there trying to hold up this mountain here. He's taking the chain trailer on that part. Or went on the back end a little bit further in the mine. And this operator standing there, he's watching this roof here. These miners had seats on them where you sit down. Now they got remote control. They sit on a little stool or a grease bucket or something and operate the machine. Normally you cut about 20 foot deep, 20 foot wide. Of course, the roof's good enough. On development work, you can cut up to 25 feet, maybe 30 feet. The roof's good. Most of what I work, about 20 foot. On development, sometimes retreat mining, we cut, it allows to cut 30 feet on a retreat mine.
Okay.
But you had to stay under supported roof, with remote control mines.
Gotcha.
Remote control.
Gotcha.
This guy's operating this car here, but he's helping him watch that roof here. So you just now start down there because you don't know when something loose might come off or something. He's helping him watch it. That's the operator there. Of course, usually you don't stand up like that. Now, the law says now, for my working when I quit in '98, you had a plan, you had to be out by this conveyor belt he was operating.
Okay.
All that pretty well basically the same there. But that gives you an idea of how they do right in the fern leaf and that piece of rock there. That's on the wall of the surface spine. Now this is another picture of a piece of slate here. We call this slate. You'll notice you got one rock. This is up near the main roof here, like that. The coal was underneath this part. And this is one leaf imprinted here. I don't have my glasses. I believe I found it meant to go there. Somewhere right there it is, I believe. One leaf right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now on this side, yeah, that's it. Okay, on this side here, you'll notice several of them. Coal was underneath this part. That's slate. You get that when you take the coal out. A lot of times that air slacks and comes down, or you take it down, or you cut it down, send it outside, and they separate it out of the coal at the prep plant, prepare it for the customer. Customer don't want none of this in there. They want pure coal. You got to keep the paper waste and all that out of the coal. This is nothing but a cake of ivory soap. The big companies, they would pay piston and
Yep, Jack Rock.
right 87 right at the Jack Rock, made out of nails. And of course we had some of them down here a lot of times, the miners on contract strike or whatever. Back when I was in union, I'd been on some picket lines, but I never seen something like this out in the road because I knew how expensive they would be to fill those tires, But they'd use these, they'd throw them out in the road. And then after I went on to come out of the union and be a company man, I'd have to go to the mines. A lot of times we had to keep our mines ventilated before they was working or not. We had to check, make sure our pumps was running and all that kind of thing. You had to watch for these things. A lot of times they'd throw them out the road, and it'd damage you, tear your tire out of pieces. She had these here, and I get a lot of kids in, and she had some of these, and I was trying to buy one of them off of her for the museum, and she gave me one of them.
Okay.
They showed the different types of coal. Anthracite, we have some of that coal here. They had some in Pardee, Virginia on Blackwood Fuel, but primarily mine are bituminous coal here, even though that's pretty hard coal, but it's bituminous. Subbituminous, lignite. We don't mind very much of that here in this area at all. Maybe strip mine a little bit, but we didn't mind any underground much. Well, sometimes you get some waste outcropping. They mine this out west. That's what they mine out there, lignite, brown coal. The electricity, after really coal got to go, and they used it primarily for electricity, generate electricity. Even these certs and aspirins and medicine, a lot of different things made out of coal. Now, we didn't mine any of this in this area here. No, this year.
Okay.
But now coal, there's got a part in medicine and aspirin, Tylenol. Got some charts up here that shows nylon stockings, a lot of different things made out of coal.
Okay.
Bring that chart over here, Don. It shows that lady with them nylon stockings and the aspirin and stuff in it. That chart. Let me show him it. Let me get it right here. This is a chart here that shows many different things, even cake mix, paint, nylon stockings, Tylenol, better medicines. I don't know what they're going to substitute with, because they don't have the coal to do it with, whatever. But it's got a portion of the coal in it.
Okay.
Showing this picture here. This is coal back in the early days of the miner laying on the side, loco. Can you imagine working something like that? That's the early miner here. This is what they were now in the mine. And you've heard of long wall mining plow system.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm here cutting coal, a long wall system, where they retreat mining, what they use the long wall on. This is continuous miner in the mines here with a remote control box here. Okay. Here. And this is something pretty unique here, a little three-legged chair come out of the old drugstore over in Appalachia. Pretty cool. This is some of the old drills. They used to drill in a while of coal with the old breast augers. You've heard of them here. And that's a wood water pipe. They used to pipe water out of the mines because the chemicals in the water was eating the steel lines up.
Mm-hmm.
They used the wood to bring it out. That's a railroad jack, they call it, where they use with the lead steel to jack the rails up, or you get a wreck for one of those haulage machines, bringing it outside, you can take those jacks and jack them up on track.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it a railroad jack.
Okay.
And that's the old pig car. And back here some of the old mule shoes, oxen shoes, and all that they used back in the day. This is the oxen shoe here. These little half shoes here, and up there. Now this is a mule shoe here. This other the horseshoe. They see the difference in them, the close
Okay.
on a mule shoe.
Okay.
This was a salt lick here they had in the mines back when they had the police in the mines. They kept them in there. A lot of them went in there and they never came out.
Okay.
Never came out of the mines.
Okay.
They died in the mines. They left them in there. You didn't believe that in the day. I'm talking about when they used them in the mines.
Right.
That's just the old triangle tree you've seen something around the old farms, you know, where you had an open ring on it. You hook on to the your single tree. I forget what to call them chains, but you hook them in them hooks there, and then you had to hook that on whenever you pull a plow or whatever. Had an open ring on that.
Now this was the drill machine, right?
No, that was the pump. The pump of water out of the mine.
Oh,
It was
okay, I see where's the pump
yeah,
now.
Yeah, it's a pump. That's where you bled the air out of it. This is hooked up here, the line to it here. So hook a line onto it to dewater the mines. Usually this type of machine was used to dewater the mines.
Okay.
A lot of times your airways, after you take the coal out, you'd have water would come in your airways and travelways, and of course now they use sump pump shit on the mines, everything to bring them out.
Okay.
But that was a big heavy pump to move. You loaded it up here, so you coupled it up. Everything.
Yeah.
Got this open, you couldn't have this in the line, that'd be a non-permissible pump, had to be out by the face of for sure.
Gotcha.
You know, the mine. That's a rail bender here, where you go around the curve in the mines, you crease a rail, you put that on there and you can make a curve, you know. You take that and bend the rail, I call it a rail bender.
Okay.
Yeah, you see your main line, you go down that section there, you crease that and go around the curve. You can have a switch going that way. You'd let a switch in there. Throw it just like a railroad track. You don't see one train going that way and one that way.
Okay.
You got a switch in the mines that way. This is some of the old pictures here. Mine were innovated lamp, shoes. This is the old portal here back in the day. Old wood post. And cross collars there. I can't fill in on that guy back there. This is some Westmoreland Safety Award sharing the muds and all that kind of thing. Safety belt buckles, some of them.
Now, a lot of the safety certificate, first aid mining certificates that I'm seeing through here, how often do they have to renew them certificates and everything?
Well, if you get your mine form certificate, it's good. They have duration, you know, as long as you mine.
So it's
you
a
got
lifetime
that certificate,
thing?
Lifetime
Okay.
thing on that. But if you're going to get qualified, say just a new miner, you know, you qualified to check for methane gas, be a fire boss, you know, and all that. You got to get certified, be a certified examiner. You know, you don't have to renew them. Once you keep them up and don't get no violations, you know, to revoke it, you can keep them. You know. This is one of those instruments here called a bluebird spotter. You check for methane gas, that little blue instrument. They use that plus that safety lamp I was showing you back there. This is an anemometer here where you check your ventilation, velocity of air you got on section. You measure the width of the place, and the height, and get the area of it, and whatever velocity you got on this, you can multiply that by your area, and it tells you how much cubic feet you got
Okay.
of ventilation in the mine. Yeah. This is one of those rescuers that are opened up there. They're showing you one of that big container right there.
Yeah, we've seen
That's an
earlier.
old portal there. It looks like it says about 1918 there.
Yeah, it
The
does.
Old mine portal there. This is what I was showing you here. Let's play with 1854 in Mock Chunk, Pennsylvania. And their main headquarters then would eventually be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And here they have in the mine, communication purposes here. Big heavy steel with protected rock falls. That's the underground mine probably, way back in the day. Yeah. You can see it's very heavy iron. I'd hate to have to move that thing around, but right there it gives the name of it. Started everything. Made in USA and all that good stuff. Now, this machine set up there like it's loading coal there. It's oscillating head on it, called a 32 Meador continuous miner. They cut the coal that comes through that conveyor into this car here. You got an operator on this car, he can pull that coal up with his lever, load that in and pull the coal all the way up to here and it'll be loaded. This car will hold about 7 tons of coal, probably, if you heap it up. And then he's got a cable reel. This is a DC 275 volt DC machine here. This is a Jeffrey shuttle car here, Jeffrey. And other than the 32 Meador continuous miner, you sit in the deck of it out there, controls. And let's see, oscillating head, that's a 4160 AC machine out there. Now they got 1000 volt.
Okay.
But that's a 4160 AC. This is a DC, Holly, 275 volt DC, got a cable reel on it.
Yeah.
And it go back to the anchor dump point, and it would it automatically, as you trim the machine, it would come off, pull off through the shield wheels. And when you come back after you load it, he pick that cable up, back on your reel, on your fishing rod, you know. It split it up on there, called in the reel compartment. But that's a Jeffrey. In my area, Westmoreland had Jeffrey in the early days, a lot of them, and went on to Joy. When we put that big mine in there, we had all Duke Joy shuttle cars.
Okay.
This is dental office back in the early days. Yeah, cut that off too, Don. It's hot in here now, but this is old X-ray machine they used back today. Meador's father owned that first, Virginia Meador. She just passed away here a few months back. That was her father's, but it went through several other people after that. But now this tree up here, I believe it was 9.5 foot diameter, 13,500 bullets in that one tree. That's on that one train with one tree. Back up in Stone Acre, Virginia. That's a wood toolbox down here they used underground. That's just a calorie shot there. I mean, a chart there showing all the calories back in the old days and stuff. This is part of the loadout they had in Appalachia, but they had about 6 silos on it. This was early beginning here, about 1969, when they started the bullet mine up. And they loaded one of them unit trains over here. Now this is some of came from the power plant, Duke Power Company. Some of the pictures they had. You got they burned all the coal. Bullet mine supplied coal for Duke Power Company. Wentz mine, they went another steel company. I forget the name of that company they began with, but they supplied it all over. But it was a different type of coal. I believe this was in the bullet mine. I believe it was in the Dorchester same coal.
Okay.
Here's a little model mine here, cut off thing, and something made out of coal out of wood, and if you made it out. And what you would do in here, the engineers would come in, you'd already had the stripping equipment to come in, dozers, everything, move the dirt and everything back to the cold wall, and you'd start the portals up. Normally you would work from right to left, and they would call that, the way they got it set up here, it would be, let's see, it would be 1, 2, 3, belt, 4, and 5. Of course, they started out here, they'd probably call that 5 because they knew they was gonna pick up another entry.
Yeah.
You know, this is your intake entry going in. You cut this first, 20 foot deep, 20 foot wide. You move over here and cut this and then this, and you cycle back across. Well, what you was doing that, you had a roof boulder come in. You'd follow that continuous miner putting the ropes up all the way to this wall. And you cycle back and forth. And when you get up here, if you set up on, say, 75 foot centers, whatever the centers were, you'd turn a 90-degree angle, make a 90-degree, and then you take a cut out of here, take about 2 cuts, and you're a little over to take this into this place here. That's for ventilation and haulage purposes. And also this is the return side, this is your fan over here on the exhaust system. There it goes in this way all the way up here to the working place, like this. You got these, you notice these made out of here, they call them, in the mine, you'd call that ventilation controls, permanent controls.
Okay.
You'd have a door, I believe primarily the mines that I worked in, about every, I believe about every 200 feet, you had a man door where you could travel from here over to here. And also you'd have one on this side that have marked. Man door. And what that area would do is, this is the intake, you come up here, go up here, go up here, you take curtains and put it up in the immediate face area here where the miners, his miners up here, similar to be right here. You go there, and then mine that way. So
Okay.
make your roof boulder here, then he'll come back over, body across, and you develop up whatever they've got it set up on. Sometimes they'd be 70 feet, 75 or 80, depending on the roof condition.
Gotcha.
Every mine's got a ventilation plan, a roof control plan, cleanup plan, evacuation plan, all that you got to comply with. You got to keep that loose coal, fine coal dust, everything cleaned up within 20 foot of immediate face area. You got to be within that all the time.
Gotcha.
If you don't, when these inspectors come in, well, they start citing you. You know, you got to keep everything cleaned up. But that area comes up like this. When I said the last open entry is the last separation between the intake and return. They just got one return, but that wouldn't work in your big mine. You'd have to have multiple entries. Because if you lost this with the rock fall, you'd have to shut down till you got this fall cleaned up. But the big mines, we'd have, say, starting the big mines in, we may have 10 entries that going in.
Yeah.
It'd be, say, 5 of them be intake, 5 of them return. If you lost one, you could go back and clean it up, but you still have return entries come back out here. So
Gotcha.
you had this big fan over here with a water gauge on it, and it's like a big clock, you know. It was it checked barometric pressure, and you could look at that gauge on that fan, and you could tell that fan was run completely circle in there. It hadn't been off, you know, it had the time on it. If it went off, so you was off from work, that fan, you could tell what, say it went off at 2 o'clock in the day or whatever, night, it dropped all the way down here at the bottom. Then to start it back up, it's normally, our fan usually run about 4.0 on the chart. And it had to be just like you had a compass on there straight. But now if you had any water blockage or rock fall or anything, well, it would go up. You knew you had some kind of resistance automatically. I taught my foreman, they'd call me on, I was a general foreman, so I'd have fire bosses to come in at 4 o'clock on Sunday because we didn't work a weekend at that time on call. I'd have him come in at 4, even though the shift didn't start till 12, I'd have him to make make a fan the first thing they'd do. And they could tell if that fan had been running continuous,
Yeah.
if it'd been off, or if they had a difference in that recording gauge where it went from a 4 up to say 6 or 7.
Yeah.
You knew you had some kind of buildup, a rock fall,
Okay.
something interfering with that ventilation, some kind of interference.
Okay.
And that'll learn you a lot when you check your fan. First thing I'd have them do, check that fan when they got to the mines. And then I'd let them go check all the travelways, main lines and everything, make sure there wasn't no falls or anything. And then they couldn't pre-shift the examination where anybody worked or traveled till 3 hours prior to anyone entered the mine. They couldn't start checking it 4 in the evening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make it legal, you got to go in there and check that mine after, say, 9 o'clock to have it ready for the midnight shift. And you had to go in, you had to make the examination for ventilation, roof conditions, where it's safe to work with your instruments. You had a recording book for every part of the mine.
Okay.
Like we had, say, main north, one right off of main north, one right off of 2 left. You had to know all that and have books for each part of it. You had to be safe to work.
Okay.
You had a light outside normally, had a red and a green light.
Gotcha.
And you got that to burn. If that light was on red, say the miners come in, that light was on red, they knew that there was something wrong with the mine. You didn't go in. But it's a green, just like a traffic light, safe, But of course they had the board there and everything to mark up where they made examination. And when you make this place up here also, you had to make the examination accurate, check for ventilation, roof, and you had to examine that and date it up. Like today is 4/25, whatever it is. You put 4/25/24, whatever time it is.
Okay.
You put it in every place where you made that examination. Have to do it according to the plan
Gotcha.
and the law.
Gotcha.
Now you hear about these mines are blowing up a lot of times when they blow up like this, they can't find no records for the documented examination. And that's totally against the law.
Right.
That's against the company plan, state plan, federal plan, or any other plan. You gotta
Right.
you gotta make those examinations.
Gotcha.
If you do that, you can mine safely. But if you do not do that, you can get in trouble. You're gonna blow up and kill somebody really. If you don't make the mine. I'd be afraid to send a crew in the mines if it wasn't examined before they went in.
So what all else do you have over here?
Yeah. That's all the script money they paid the miners with me over these years.
Okay.
That's a real early machine before my time there. But, I don't know what they call, what the name of that machine was. Now this is a pump station. This is underground. I was young foreman here. We put this in at Holton Mine. And I was there when they built this. This looked like a big shop outside. But if you notice, that's a roof bolt up in the roof. That's underground. And we hauled the concrete in there and poured this floor. This is a pump station for these long wall machine. This is these shields, what you see them working on that chariot system, called a long wall machine called shields. And there was 139 shields on that long wall place. They like this. They're set up like this. You're working on them like this, back to back. And you mine this coal out, you pull them up, and it caves in behind it.
Okay.
On the retreat mine.
Okay.
That's where you harvest all the coal. Have a 1,000-foot wall I'm talking about, close to a 1,000-foot wall.
Okay.
That first wall. This thing got on coal in August of '95. When it's supposed to be on coal on August 1st, but we didn't get it on coal about the last of August or 20th of August. So we was a little bit behind for some reason. But anyway, you made the 130 down. Each one of these shields here weighed 16 tons. And we'd haul them in the mines on a big flat car and set them up on the first long wall place. And if you mine that block, you can mine out say close to a half a mile block of coal, 1,000 foot wide in about 6 months.
Okay.
You go to move to another location. That's retreat mining. But you had to develop those entries for intake and bleeders on each side of that big wall before you move the long wall in.
Okay.
And establish the belt line, the center entry to bring the coal out.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't come down dumped on the mother belt. Usually about a 5-foot belt for one of these big long wall machines to carry the coal out. You have to have something to carry that coal out, So that's it there before it was, I'm going to set it up there.
Okay.
There's another picture before we got anything in it much.
Okay.
See that trash can there? I told my buddies, I said, they about all chewing tobacco and they're putting that in. Pug Smith was my long wall coordinator there at the mine. And I told him, I said, if we put that in, I said, I want that kept clean. I said, I don't want to see no amber, no kind of paper, lunch wrappers or anything in there. And every day they wash that thing out. Then I'd take the inspectors in. I'd want to show them that, so we did have something look pretty good. But that's underground. Looks like a big shop outside. See,
Yeah.
that's underground. We put it in 1995. Holton Mine.
These are just more carbine lights, right?
Yeah, that's more carbide lights. Some of the old oil lights over here.
What can you tell me about this picture right here?
Let's see here. I don't know exactly. Let me read on it. I don't remember what that represented at that time. Some kind of big meeting they got going on there. September 30th, 1942, the entire personnel of Norton Coal Company there, or succeeding for savings bond. I think it was making up money for a savings bonus plan. Norton Coal Company there in 1942. Yeah.
Okay.
Now this is of the company mine of these. They loaded single cars, you know, at that time. This is the old load machine here, loading that coal shot out, blasted out, got the arms on it. That guy's operating there and he's loading the shuttle car there.
Okay.
They also using timbers here in Cross Collar.
Okay.
Now this is one here operating on a reel. There's your rock and there's your coal seam here. This thing's running on a reel. That's way back in the day too. I don't know what year that was exactly.
Okay.
This is some of the company houses here, but that, I believe this was in somewhere Stonegate or which mine that was. I don't know. Courtesy of
Denver Clark.
Deborah Clark. I believe that was
Picture of Oski.
Osaka.
Osaka.
Osaka, yeah, it's Osaka. And then you had Osaka, started in 1902. These companies' houses, two families lived in these double dwellings here. There's two houses. One family lived on the top, one lived on one side, one on the other. These double dwellings. And Osaka, then they went on to have Rhoda went on to be in by that too. Had a roller mine that came from above Derby. Above Osaka. These are guys got their lunch bucket up there where they're working with the old cutting machine, sawing down the bottom of the coal before they got the loading machine.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. I think this lady there, her family run a mine over Virginia City there. I didn't know her, but someone gave me that picture. Calculator machine back in the day. It could type out checks and probably kept up with the reject and all that, you know. Call the meeting her calculator. I got told that's some of the old electric equipment they was checking the current with and everything back in the day. Old school desk here. I used one similar to this. You had this part on this end. Then you had a place for your pencils here. You put a place in here to put your book and everything. Old school there.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, you've seen these back. These are the guys here, just a counter where they got the safety jacks before they got the HERS system, putting the jacks up and they're drilling a hole up with this type of drill here to put the bolts in the roof. This is a forward settling oxygen tank. They get them big cans of carbide and they use these in old shop to generate acetylene to use back in that day.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a check-in, check-out board here. You're gonna have it every mine side with the miner names on it. And he goes in, he checks in, he does his check-in, he will check out. He's going out and take the tag off, like the lump on your belt. These shields where they're on wall mining here, like that big white machine there where they're lined up, they're sharing this coal off and it's going, the big panel line goes up to the belt. But this guy's here, he operates, each man, they got seven, one guy will operate 7 of these. When you take the coal out, you move those up. And you're working on these, and it falls in, caves in behind me on the retreat mine. So they're slicing this like this wall here.
Yeah.
They're coming up, and they're coming back this way, you know, they move them back, and then they shear it off. And that's your roof support. Now this guy here, now they're putting a roof up, they got this HERS system. This is your jack here, and it's got this T-bar I was telling you about. It's 9 feet wide, and your remote control, you got that up against the roof. You got this big jack here that holds that up. Instead of putting them screw-type jacks, you got this HERS. Then once you get the bolts in, you remote let it down and trim it up, and it'll place it up again. You get that place much safer. That's called HERS, flexible roof boiler. Got a lot of the old eddy machines here. This is some women that work the coal mines there.
I've seen that picture before somewhere.
That lady sent me out of Tennessee. I don't know exactly where it was made at. That's a big machine of mining coal up there, continuous mine. That's one like the outside, up there, a guy sitting on a machine. That's that's that 32 Lee's Lowest miner.
Right.
Yeah. Education purposes back in the day, all the towns had those switchboards and they could connect you up with the mines and the towns and so forth. Big office desk here. And there's a smaller switchboard there. They tell me this was a chain separator here. They change and go down here and put it in the bag, then take the bag for whatever they counted or whatever. And, old scales, you seen some of them in the old stores way back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Feed and supplies on. Now this, you might know what this is when you live in St. Paul, close to Russell County, where you got that big butcher place over at St. Paul. This is the old butcher block. It came out of one of the old company stores.
Okay.
Where they cut the meat up and everything back in the days, you know, everything. It's called a butcher block. You see that's had a lot of, you won't see any splinters or anything like that. That's a special type of wood.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, some kind of maple. I don't know what kind of maple it was. Exactly. And this is just some more fossils here that came out of the mine. Yeah, there's some books on the early coal mining camps.
I actually have that book. Yeah, I actually have that book.
Yeah, and we got the Wise County book too, but well, here it is, Life in the Coal Camps of Wise County. You probably seen that one, yeah. And this variety of books and on the railroad, interstate railroad. Now, the company, Virginia Iron and Coal, they